The knock on Tomlin his whole career is what you saw in this game today with the Jaguars. Like, that first half was a little shaky until, like, they finally, like, they ended up beating the shit out of him. And if you just look at the box score, you're like, yo, what the fuck is this kid talking about? But in the beginning, the knock on Tomlin is, like, they'll go into Oakland a couple of years ago, and they're, like, in a must-win game against the Raiders who have 3 wins, and they lose to Oakland, or they'll drop a game to like the Jets or
I'm at Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. That game was until the fourth quarter, and then they fucking went ham.
Even opening week against the Giants, you're looking at them, you're like, yo, you should not be beating the Giants by 10.
Well,
and also, that was a last-minute touchdown too.
Week 1's crazy though.
Yeah,
Man.
I know. That's why I said also
Caveat,
I didn't judge Barkley getting 15 yards on fucking 22 carries week 1 either. I was like,
dude.
I sat there, I was literally banging my chest. I was like, listen, man, it's week 1, all right? Don't worry about it. He's going to be fine. And then week 2, bam, gone.
But also, like, going back to that, what you said about week 1, like, I cut you some slack on week 1, especially this year, right? You had no preseason.
Weird COVID, no preseason, no
also,
nothing.
the Steelers in particular, like, they got Ben back after not playing for a whole year. So, like, them. But I feel you, though. Like, they shouldn't have. And the one thing I like about Pittsburgh this year, and we had this discussion on the last episode about, like, how do you feel about Pittsburgh, bro? Because now they're
fakest undefeated team I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I love them though. I love them. I want them
undefeated teams. Atlanta went 9-0 in 2012, and they had like 4 narrow victories. And this is just me being a nerd, just going off right now. But I think having an elite defense, stabilized quarterback, and 4 playmaking receivers
easily,
and always have a solid offensive line. Maybe not quite as good as it was a few years ago, but I just feel like there's so much stability in Pittsburgh. That's why I believe in them. Like, they have so much star power, and they've just built a really solid infrastructure around Big Ben. It's just like you kind of got to believe them. But if there's one issue, it's like, all right, they don't really have a lot of signature wins outside being Baltimore.
Absolutely. And also, I was telling Nick before, I love Claypool. Love Claypool. I thought he was one of the better receivers in the draft. I thought the fact that he even made it to the second round, like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, wow. Like, the fact that nobody's grabbing. Listen, he killed on Notre Dame. Like, he was a star. He was just an absolute star. Also, you kind of realize how much everybody was like, Le'Veon, like James Conner's not Le'Veon. And it's like, yeah, but listen, Claypool I'm watching run sweeps. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's like out here.
Dude, Deontay Johnson is one of the most electrifying playmakers in the league. If he was on a different team where they didn't have as many playmakers around him, like, he would be getting a lot more touches.
For sure.
I also think that the knock on him is
injuries,
he leaves games early. Like, if he didn't have, there's like 3-4 games this year where he has like 3 targets because he leaves in the first half. Games in which he like starts and finishes games, you look at his targets, 11, 15, 12. Like,
so dangerous.
He's so they were playing the Titans, bro, and our buddy Danny, he's a big Steeler fan. I remember texting him. I'm like, bro, that's Antonio Brown. Like, he ran this like slant and he caught it and then turned back out. Bro, how fluid he was in and out of the break. I was like, yo, that's AB. And again, it goes back to like with Pittsburgh, how they fucking, if you're a wide receiver and the Steelers draft you, I'm picking you up on my fantasy team.
100%.
Because you're going to be a beast at some point if they play you. And you said something about the 4 playmakers. I think that they have the best collection of, they have the best 4 wide receivers in the league. As far as, I'm not saying
as a group.
Yes, as a group. As a core. Like, James Washington is not a bad number 4 option.
He's a great vertical threat. You need players like him. And people bash his hands all you want, but Ebron in the red zone is dangerous. So I think,
bro, listen, you kind of saw what Ebron was capable of. I was a big fan of Ebron coming. Listen, I can say this now, and I have no problem saying it. I wanted the Giants to draft Ebron, and he was taken right before Odell.
Yeah.
I think
right
Ebron's
before,
like 8.
Yeah. So I
was
was
top
for Aaron
10.
Donald,
dude. I was sitting there, right, and I'm like,
my
this guy's
God.
a beast. You're watching him play, and you're like, listen, he's just not doing it. He's not doing it. Fine. And then all of a sudden, he has a quarterback last year, somewhat like in terms of like going to. And then when he was on the Colts, you're like, this guy can play, man. This guy scored. He's in the end zone all times.
It's
and
just
then
his hands.
then you put him on a team with Ben, and you're like, listen, the ball's gonna find him at some point.
Especially
a
a team like Pittsburgh and Ben, who just loves tight ends. Remember Heath
Love
Miller
Heath.
was like a thing.
What do you mean,
Just-
Vance McDonald? Was it Vance McDonald, right?
Yeah,
Vance McDonald was
Vance
the pinch in fantasy football every year. I would be like, bro, I need a pickup right now on a bye week. Let me get Vance. He'd score. He'd get 2 targets, 17 yards, but a touchdown every time.
Every time he did it,
every
right?
That
time.
stiff arm on Chris Conte, one more underrated Monday Night Moments. Remember that Pittsburgh Tampa game? This when Fitzpatrick was at its peak. You know,
Right.
the fifth run of Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic has its roller coaster.
That man will
peak.
never die. Don't ever disrespect him.
Hey, he just played today.
I know that
so
man will
salute to him.
never die.
But no, I think look, man, Pittsburgh. I know they don't have many signature wins. They have Thanksgiving. That's the game everyone's looking forward to. Forget the early slate. Like Thanksgiving, enjoy your time with your family. 8:00. That's when you watch football.
I think that the reason why I say I think they're a fake undefeated team is for this. Every year, I feel like they make it to the playoffs, and every first round, you're looking at them, you're like, something's going to happen. You're like, yo, they're going to drop the ball. Something's going to happen. And I think they have a good enough team. I do think it's most of the time it's Tomlin's fault.
It's understandable.
I do think it's his fault, really. I'm like, dude, like some of his calls are suspect, man. Some of them are really suspect. Listen, between the fact that you even stuck your leg out and almost tried to trip a guy is one thing. Like, you know what I mean? When you stood on when you stood on the sideline and you literally like moved your body and you were looking at where
That's
the guy.
Baltimore, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, dude,
Jacoby Jones.
Yeah, dude, you're on a different level of sus when you do that.
He's looking at the Titantron and he just goes,
Yep. And he just shifts over and he goes, oh, a guy's coming? No clue. He just falls forward.
No, it's understandable. Look, they've had some bad playoff losses, but other than the Chiefs, like I can't really see them losing to any team.
yo, let me ask you a question. Now that I just thought about this. You're in the Super Bowl. You're on the sidelines. You're like the ball boy or some shit. Or even you're a player. And your team is up like 4 points and the Minnesota Miracle goes down. Right? The Stephon Diggs happens.
Scenario's bad.
And they're streaking up your sideline. Clock has expired. What happens if you just like step on the field and tackle him?
Not even if I step on the field. I fake a heart attack. I fake a seizure and I fall on the ground and he trips over me.
No, but like,
Even more
Check my medical insurance, bro. What are you kidding me? Like, no, I fake whatever I can. I go down to tie my shoe and it just happens to be my head peeks out. Like I'm there.
yo, do we know what happens in that scenario?
Dude, you seriously, like, unless you're a star player, you might get, because obviously, look, if you're a star, you get several opportunities looking into
Not if you run onto the field.
But dude, come on, like look at Antonio Brown, like he really shouldn't be in the league, but due to his talent, like he's in it. But like if you do that, I think you're probably gonna be blackballed. Like who could trust you?
Yeah.
But what happened? What do you do in the game? Do you call that a touchdown? Do
You
I don't
have
know.
to, man. Like fair play.
I
You have to look at the moment, the scenario.
Cause the play with remember when the Jets guy like literally put his leg out and he tripped, what's his name, right?
Oh, it was
Westhoff, right?
What
Special teams
happened-
coach.
He was a special teams
Yeah,
coach.
all right, yeah, but also he was like a huge, like juiced up guy.
Yeah.
and
Pure
like
Rex. This is peak Rex Ryan nonsense.
But what happened? I don't remember what happened after that. Like, do you get like an extra 15 yards or like because he was just running down the sideline, like that was a clear cut, like that was a clear cut play.
I think
Like,
they still lost that. That was against Miami.
yeah, but like I'm just like watching. Listen, shit like that. Also, like the reason why I love stuff like that. You're on TV. We all see you.
So you're gonna get fined. You're probably gonna lose a couple draft picks.
What do you mean you lose a job though? Like I'm talking about him. I'm talking about him.
Oh, him. Yeah, you lose all credibility.
Bro, you lose your job.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm not saying the special teams coach for the Jets is like, oh, listen, like you're feeding your family.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you lose your job. Like, you're done.
Bro, you don't think like I was thinking about this now. I just thought of this right now as you were talking about the Jacoby Jones and Mike Tomlin thing. Like, what happens? Obviously, you get blackballed, right? Like, you're never in the league. But, like, what happens in that game? Do you give the team the touchdown? Does the team that was on defense that the fucking asshole stepped onto the field?
It's hard,
because they're
man.
like, yo, our DB was like 5 yards away. He runs 4-3.
Wait, what was the situation? What was it, 2 years ago with the Rams that sent him to the Super Bowl? When
the pass
it was
interference.
the pass interference.
Robbie Coleman, yeah.
Bro, like that in general, like I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they can't review like I'm pretty sure they like redid the rule, right?
Well,
of
they
passing-
did that just for last year because I don't
Yeah,
think you could do the pass
Now
interference
it's not.
You
anymore.
can't
anymore.
review it
It
anymore,
just got
right?
It just got.
It was an
prolonged games. It got
overreaction.
too
Yeah.
annoying. Like teams have really overused it, and
also
it
like
just was poorly orchestrated.
and a lot of a lot of the calls didn't get overflipped.
No,
like,
it wasn't.
overturned.
And like some were like I'll never forget. What was it? Houston, Baltimore last year. I remember Hopkins got like tackled in the end zone by Humphrey. It couldn't have been more evident, and they still like, no, it's not PI. Like, it was pretty bad last year. You remember that when Hopkins got?
I do. Yeah, I think it was a primetime game. I'm pretty sure
Or
it was.
maybe it was a 1 o'clock. No, it was like a big game, But I just remember like Hopkins, it was like on a deep over cross route, and he just gets tackled by Marlon Humphrey, and it was like, all right, it's the most obvious PI. They didn't call. I'm like, all right, this rule's just pointless. Like it's just New Orleans being petty and like.
But that was just a pure that shit happens. The same shit with the Dez Bryant play, right? The Dez catch it, the catch rule. It happens because it's a playoff game. To use the betting term, it's a standalone game, meaning there's no other games going on. So everyone's fucking watching the TV when the Cowboys are playing the Packers, and it's like, oh, well, now we got to evaluate what a catch is. Like,
Did he catch it?
He did catch it.
Did he?
He did, yeah.
As a Giant fan, he caught it.
Yeah, he caught it.
Not only
It's
as a
just so
Giant fan, it was
obvious
so
that-
obvious he caught it.
God damn.
But it's funny. Like, I loved it, though. I loved it.
Listen, when he lost, because this is the best part about football. The next week, nobody's talking about it because the playoffs are going on. Like things are happening, and everybody's like, "Listen, you got to move on to next week." Bill Belichick, just straight up.
But that's why that offseason, everyone was reevaluating what a catch was. The same way with the OPI. Like it's the fucking NFC title game, and it was like, that was a fucking passing. Dude, I remember watching that at a bar, and I was watching it, and it happens. I'm like, and I'm eating, and I'm just like, oh well, that's a flag. And I'm eating, and then like there's no flag. I'm like, oh my god, that's horrible.